saying all combined.
Right.
I'm comparing this. Like, it's the same exact method.
I don't get what happened. He's saying that some people get not what I'm saying at all. If I were to say that, someone could ask, what group do you have that is most influenced? Most influenced by? Like I take them. That would be a correct statement. So say, but when you say
you made a pretty assertive claim earlier about that.
I want you to make one that's goals there. The same way we're speaking was that some of the people in the climate change population are black. That would also but that's very different than saying most or vast majority. Now you're saying there's local representation, which could insinuate that there's some other issues involved. Do you understand what I'm trying to get at?
You know the FBI crime statistic where it says although black people represent 12% of the American population, violent crime.
Okay. Yes.
You know that's based off of that, blacks are overrepresenting violent crime in America.
Okay. Even if that's true, that's no. And the only reason I'm bringing it up is not to do like white versus black. The reason why I'm bringing that up is because they're represented, both represented subsects, does not mean that they commit all the different crimes.
I didn't say that either. And that's what I'm saying, like violent crime.
No.
Cities are just like shoving black crime. Yes, we should be brought stuff that does happen to white people. White and black crime is different.
Yes, but you're using the crime of just proportionality of black or say, if they're overrepresented here, then it tracks that. What I said earlier is also that's not the way that works. That stat say that means that black people. You're misusing that stat. That's one. Two, even when we get to stats, that one number is Sorry, guys. I think you're pointing to different things.
This is talking about black violence on Asians. 27.5%. Okay, so whites make up 60% of the population, and they commit 24% of the crimes on Asians. Blacks make up 13%, and they're committing more, 27.5% of the attacks on Asians. That's disproportionate. That means the majority of violent attacks, compared to the amount of white and black people in America, the majority more black people than white people. And that compares to 13% of the population cases. This is coming from the girl. Good.
So there's 182 violent incidents, and then it seems like a quarter of them are from Asians, a quarter of them are from black folks, and a quarter of them are from white folks. Is that fair?
Well, the majority is 27.5% of the majority is white.
Okay, so we have a 2 to 3% difference.
But also, you have to factor in how many black people exist. Like, it's because black people.
No, Stigo, you're doing something. You're doing something that's very wrong. Your first statement, I'm going to repeat it to you. This was your first statement. First statement was this. Vast majority of violent crimes against Asians are done by blacks. Then you show me something that shows that blacks only could do a quarter of the violent crime. You literally contradicted your initial statement. No. It's a slight majority. That's not vast majority. Vast majority.
Okay, sure. So it's a slight majority. Not that. I stand correctly. This is 2 years before COVID. And
was there a spike at COVID and all of a sudden tripled everybody?
Yeah, that's what Stop Asian Hate was about. There was more crimes against Asians, especially in New York City after COVID. Still blaming COVID-19 on Chinese population.
Okay. So go to the national. No. Go to the National Crime Survey and then pull up 2021 or 2020, and let's see that spike, and then you should be able to confirm it. Because your number does not agree with your statement. Again, these are very different.
Okay, so there's slight outcomes. One, there's a majority, and two, it's coming down. I don't know if you're not factoring in the fact that blacks, it says here, 50% of the population. What you see. Just based on that, it's far more. So, do you understand how the ratio works?
If you're now going to a per capita, and we can have that conversation, but that's not what you're talking about. When you claim the fact that you claim was, now if you want to have a per capita conversation, that's a different thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Even without that, it's still a majority.
Okay. No, it's not. It's a minority. A majority would mean that it's more than 50%.
It's more than white people. It's more than white people. I mean,
okay. Well, this is probably second. The words you need don't mean. You say these people. No, hold on. If you say no, it's important because when people are hearing this, they're understanding something different than what you said. If you want to say black people come to crime and it's a little bit more than white folks, that's fine. You can say that because that's what's true based off the numbers you gave me. That's not the same thing as the majority.
Okay, so more black people are committing most violent crimes against Asians.
Я засік сигнали антени.
No,
Усе гаразд.
the statement would be.
Залишилося зовсім трохи.
I guess.
X15 є експериментальний
Black people are the group that they committed the most out of all those groups. The most is not black people. There's a difference between those two things.
Я забезпечу з'єднання.
Yes, that's different.
Лягти у капсулу? Навіщо?
So here's the statement that you
Out of all races, black people are
Щодо капсули не хвилюйся. На відміну від
yeah.
капсули
So there's a difference between
Ця була
that and
спроєктована для одного користувача.
what you're saying has a
Решта
different implication.
мій клопіт.
And also, what's the difference? The persistence is 2 percentage points. It's a very small difference. Right? Like the way you're speaking, this is how you spoke when you were talking about this stuff, Asian hate. You're like, black people, vast majority of them are the ones who are hurting Asians. That's a problem. No one wants to talk about it. And so, like, well, no, they're almost nearly identical, Asians and white. That's the issue. So the narrative you're building is not accurate.
Even though there's 1/4 of the population is black compared to white. Factor in that as well. And we can even bring up specific to New York City as well.
So Tim, you want to talk to capitalism? That's not the same thing. Like we have to understand that's a different thing. If I say, have a conversation with you, I just want to explain to you that, like, when I hear some of the way that you talk, and like you say you care about the issues, I believe you. But the way you engage with it, when it's not factual or not
hyperbolic.
It's not just hyperbolic. It's like you don't do the research necessary. You don't say the right things, so you're saying things that you don't mean, or you're saying things that you don't even know are true, and people are just listen. And like I heard you earlier say that we have an influence. I agree with you that we have influence, but if we have an influence, that requires you to do some due diligence, and I just don't feel like that's the case, even in this conversation with some of the stuff that you're saying. Now, like the downstream effects of it, I know you understand because you talked about how Haitians are marginalized. You talked about the dog story and everything. I'm like, I feel you. It's not fair that they're being scapegoated. but you are kind of doing the exact same thing in so many different ways. You'll talk about I want to defend my people, and I think it's admirable. I love the fact that you're down for. I love the fact that you're down for your Haitian people, you're down for your Filipinos. You don't want to see these people be abused. But I feel like the same way you don't want them to be abused, like you engage in a lot of that for others.
Right. I see what you're saying, but I don't think you're seeing the bigger point, which is that the majority of people are, I think so many people that were at these protests and part of Stop Asian Hate, they were not looking at the fact, or they were acting as if it was proportionate, and it wasn't. It was disproportionately black people committing those violent crimes. And I was pointing that out because people are afraid to speak about that because they don't want to be called racist by looking at statistics.
I agree. I don't like. Here's my thing. When I talk about crime, right? I don't like that people like, I ain't got no problems. Never. It's okay to have that. But if you're also honest, because a lot of people don't engage in this conversation in good faith, especially on the right. So you end up becoming kind of a bit of a useful idiot because, and I'm not saying that's hard, but they'll be like, yeah, Steve fucking face. I love it when he talks about this about minority with the minority face. It's really great that we have somebody, but behind closed doors, I think that they fucking way they want you to have no rights. So I'm always very reticent to like jump on that side either. I think there's a middle ground where you just talk about the facts
and you shouldn't have emotional arguments regardless. Like
Это
saying
выгодно.
white
Хутко.
have emotional arguments and be like, yeah, black people suck. It's like, well, leftists also have that argument. Like, no, I'm thinking we should remove biases from what's factual. That's what I want to get to.
I agree with that. I'm not somebody who sits here and say, as an Ethiopian immigrant, we don't have problems. I'm not somebody who doesn't spend time talking about issues that I don't like posting. I'm very open about that. But there's a way to do that responsibly where you don't just put into fucking racist narratives. The same way, I'm not going to go online and be like, hey, I heard fucking Haitians eat dogs every day. So, get them out of Springfield. I'm not going to do that because I'm just playing into their narrative. So
you shouldn't do that with the Dubai thing either, like unless you've seen it.
Okay, if you want, I could just send you the links.
I just called Haitian. I just seen it.
My God, that's not investigative
journalism, is it not?
Okay, you trolling. You trolling. How's that?
I'm not trolling. What do I'm being 100% serious. How is that not investigative?
Okay, so if somebody calls me, Sneako's been raping girls every day. I go and repeat that. That's investigative journalism?
Okay, it's not just him.
I have an anonymous source. Sneako loves little kids.
He put his name out there.
He's doing it for safety. I'm doing journalism. He's doing it for safety. He knows you did a little kid, and that's why you did that AI picture because it wasn't actually AI picture. You like that Jeffrey Epstein stuff. That's why you like his drip.
Okay. Do you think that Len's my friend? He's from it. Do you think that he would? Why would he like? What would his ulterior motive be?
I don't know. I don't know him. I don't know what's his source. I don't know how he.
Let's look at this in good faith. Like,
why would I look at it in good faith?
He doesn't have any reason to.
He thinks, okay, if you're going to say something that's relatively extreme, I'm going to require you to provide a bit of evidence. So you're just saying I saw it. I'm not going to believe that. Is that a crazy thing?
I mean, I could bring up videos
That's a good start. That's a good start. But I'm not going to the standard of my friend says these people do this, so
I'm using both. I'm using investigative journal. I've seen videos of it happening, and I've asked multiple sources. My family lives in Haiti. This seems to be conclusive enough for me to determine that. And I've also reiterated that I haven't seen it myself, and I was surprised to hear that. And I said that in that podcast clip you brought up. That video that happened in America, that was false. But then I asked people, and I looked into it, and I saw this going on.
Yeah, I think I understand. I think I understand where you're getting at. I think we've kind of. I want to loop a little bit. I do want to get to other parts. And honestly, I didn't know we were going to touch on this and stuff, so that's all. But it's cool.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Oh, that shit! I was kind of living with that stuff was happening. Okay. I want to move to the next part because obviously this is the thing that happened most recently, and I didn't want to cover it when it was happening at the time with you because I wanted to kind of just have some time to breathe on it. Now that you've gotten a week or two after the whole experience in the Vendôme nightclub, everything with the S.t.a.l.k.e.r. I want you to just kind of share your perspective about the so what do do you feel about the situation? Yeah, what do you really?
It's just a song. It's a silly song. I would never know who's created. I would also make over there. I debuted that song with Ye on my stream. Band parties clubs. Switching, people buying, people folding. Maybe Mayor said that it's no longer welcome to Miami. At the end of the day, it's just a song and it's a silly song. People leave out there saying, oh, you're celebrating Hitler. The song is Nigga How Hitler. Nigga How, all my niggas Nazis. We're niggas Nazis? I would know. We're niggas howling Hitler during the 30s.
Небо чисте.
It's a song that's fighting back against cancel culture and everything you're not supposed to say in rap. It's like the last window of speech and limitations of speech and freedom. You're not supposed to say these words, and it's like imagine white people saying nigga how Hitler.
Why are you
Nazis?
Yeah, so why are you not supposed to say this? Or why are you not supposed to do this? Why is it a trail?
Because my entire life and the majority of people who were watching this and everything, the most evil thing that they always point out is Holocaust, 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 and of course the double standards when a Holocaust is occurring right now, and then people turn a blind eye and it's right? Hitler exists, somebody who's dead, the Nazi Party doesn't exist, this stuff is over. But they always say that this is the worst thing that happened. And the people that say it's the worst thing that happened are doing it in order to distract you and to not talk about the genocide that's happening right now. Okay. I see a lot of hypocrisy.
Do you think what's happening in Palestine is horrible?
I think it's worse than see how they're cutting off the water supply. They continue to shoot people after the ceasefire. A lot of children are being killed, kept in open-air prison. I want to see Palestine free. I think it's disgusting. I think we're seeing it in 4K.
Yeah.
With overwhelming evidence. And American tax dollars are funding it.
I agree. How was 1910?
I wasn't alive.
What you read? What you
What I've read? How bad is it?
Yeah, I said it's how bad. Okay, so again, how's something out of 10?
6, 7.
6, 7. That happened. So you see the hypocrisy and how people don't seem to really care, or a lot of people don't seem to care about the Palestinians. So what benefit is that to do a symbol that wearing? That's what symbol means. I mean, symbol has so does the line. It's swearing allegiance to the authority. Right? The man who committed this and did a lot of other horrible things during the war. How does that benefit? Or how are you? How's that help?
I disagree. I don't think it's swearing allegiance. It's saying nigga Heil Hitler. Nigga Heil Hitler was not swearing allegiance to Hitler. Once he's dead. You can't swear allegiance to somebody who's dead. I mean, I guess you can.
That's not true. The movement still exists. You know, there's still Nazis today.
Does it? Where? Where are the Nazis today?
I mean, we have
to argue that the modern day Nazis are people in Israel. It's a thing they embody. If you look at the Epstein files, Epstein embodies racial supremacy. He thinks that everybody else is goy. He clearly works for Israel. Netanyahu's committing a genocide. They're using it to displace people. That is the modern day Hitler. These are the modern day Nazis.
Okay. Say that. But you're doing this like full hypocrisy. I don't disagree with you that Netanyahu's horrible. We both agree. I just don't understand why go around repeating a symbol that celebrates another fucking murder. You know, it's like, oh my God.
I don't agree that it's celebration. It's more how like it's
Well, you guys were. You guys literally were. You guys were, though. You guys were doing it. You guys were throwing it up repeatedly, and thinking it was awesome.
I wasn't. I wasn't.
Oh, you have in the past.
I'm not even throwing him. I'm not like throwing him salutes. Like, yeah, I've done it like honestly on stream as a joke. Like, if anyone takes it that serious, like, okay, sure, then you believe that. But
I don't think you take it.
My perspective now.
Yeah, I don't think you think it's serious. I don't think. But it is a serious thing. You not serious. It still is a serious thing. It is still a serious thing that you're doing. Yeah. Same way if you get a Nazi thing tattooed on yourself.
You saying nigga Heil Hitler? Yeah, it's normal to say nigga Heil Hitler.
Of course, yeah. The repetition of something normalizes where it comes commonplace. And then for people who really do believe in this ideology, you'll, like, when you see the president and he's out here posting racist memes or he's talking about cats and dogs, it signifies things to people who follow him that this kind of behavior is normal. In that same token, when you do certain symbols and you engage with certain concepts that have meaning and then you repeat them, when they already have existing meaning, you normalize it, you make it more acceptable.
I think it's normalizing saying what you're not supposed to say. It's a paradox. It's like niggas weren't heiling Hitler. This is not a celebration of what happened in history. It's a video which I was to mix all black people with furs on. Nobody's doing salutes and Hitler's not there. And black people, like all the folks black, they're all Nazis. No, they weren't.
I just gotta push back. And the reason I gotta push back is like you say that, like it's not, it's not this gay thing. And then you have interviews with Kanye, Howard, I think you're a good man. You're saying all the good things, right? So when you have that, like, this just happened in a vacuum. This wasn't like you guys in the locker room and you were doing it for a funny laugh. It's been repeated ad nauseum.
Що відбувається?
Rise in like
Де ми? Ти
neo-Nazis.
мертвий бродяга.
But just these guys. I mean, you can look at the stats, you can see some of the extreme far-right parties, the ones who broke this news, the ones who still believe in the Nazi-ideology.
Where are the Nazis today? I haven't seen them.
Just because they're not in prominence like they used to be doesn't mean that these are not movements and fascism and things like that are rising. These are things that do exist and that do grow. And I do think we are seeing a lot of this kind of racial, ethnic...
Where?
Але експеримент.
Point an example. Where are the Nazis?
Скажи, що ми встигли.
Today.
Where are they growing today? Well, we had Richard Spencer, we had characters like that. That would be like overt forms. And there's other folks who try to operate a little bit underneath it without having to.
Не вистачило
We're
часу.
seeing that the racial tensions are rising. So these are all kinds of behaviors that are
Що
starting
з моїми
to
людьми?
in Europe. There's actually quite a lot of far-right parties who
Вони
openly
під
hail
контролем
Hitler,
моноліту.
do it everywhere, and they're proud of their Nazi ideology. This idea like this kind of fascism doesn't exist anymore in the world. These are things that people are reporting more hate crimes, people are reporting more white Nazi, neo-Nazi ideologies in regards to hate crimes. These are things that are nice ideas.
I've seen some of those talks that
Скоро штурмують ЧАЕС. У моєму секторі бунт та СУА. Основна ціль – квартет.
silent stuff. Like, a lot of those, red maps on, the organizers, you're like, wait, what is this really?
I mean,
345. Боковий слабкий.
You don't have to be a full-on Nazi. Like, I know you don't move that way, but you guys think not in witness that direction. Somebody who wants to like that stuff, somebody that would be smart and their head needs to maintain their control.
Поправка. Дихання. 3, 2, 1. Це був день, коли вимкнулися всі установки, і раптом голос моноліту зник. Я наче прокинувся після багаторічної коми. А у моєму прицілі падає тіло невідомого мені солдата. Він не був мені ворогом, Скіфе. Сподіваюся, він вижив і пробачив нас. Ти запитував мене про мій талісман. Пам'ятаєш? Це пуста гільза. Нагадування про той день, коли я щиро вірив, що не стану маріонеткою знову. Пробачте, браття. Ми програли.
Пробачте мені.
White
за все,
that whites should be the ones
що
no,
ви
not
змушені робити
necessarily that
зараз.
white people need to be the ones in power, but I understand the necessity
Це була
for
гідна спроба, Скіфе.
pride in this country. Pride is a sin, but
Дякую.
to keep that some sort of if you
Будь
America's
сильним.
going to survive, then you need to keep people in this country that want to live here, that assimilate, and that are waving the American flag and have flags from other countries.
Okay, but that's not what I'm getting at. I don't care about the white pride.
Ставить нос вперед. Відчиняй.
White pride activist. I did actually part of a political movement. And they want
Оце так. Яка зустріч?
he advocates for
Які
white
декорації?
which whites are the
Цікаво тобі.
that's what Islam.
Ти ж тому винюхуєш? Чуєш? Мені здалося, чи ти з кимось?
З бродягою.
Бродяга? Так він тут, друже. Виходь. Може, ви бачили, хлопці?
Brother. Your home cleverly, like the way we use space and quality features with affordability built in, all with trusted materials from Bunnings Trade, working with local builders to get you in sooner. It's your home made possible by clever
Це
living.
в'язниця свідомості, а не життя.
Ти що, не чув представника? Не концентруйся на тут і зараз. Подумай, що можеш досягнути сяйва. Позбутися темряви, що сковала, що не дає почути. Уяви вічну весну, Скіф. Без болю, без жалю, без страждань.
America started out as a Protestant Freemason country, the founding fathers of Freemason. So for this to be
І без мене.
monarchy, which I'm not
Життя належить живим, Шраме.
that a lot of that stuff
Коли заговорять мертві, ми повбиваємо один одного. І навіть тоді нам не буде спокою.
Знаєш, весь шлях ти був талісманом. Надихав нас. Я вірив тобі. А ти просто підробка. Тому ти нас не зрозумів! Зачиняй! Ти не вам!
He says that's a but you two with that I don't think right now I don't think you agree with me when that's what I think that absolutely.
Okay, first off, I don't want to misrepresent and say that he's saying white power structure. I'm saying I understand wanting America to maintain its white majority when immigration is the cause of so many issues happening right now. And limiting immigration and making immigrants, I agree. That illegal immigrants should be deported, and I think that we should prioritize the citizens here.
Okay.
And if that were to happen, then it would be right now whites are the majority. It's looking at that if we allow this mass immigration that's going to change very soon, America is going to lose the sense of identity.
So
As a minority, I hate talking like that, but I think America would benefit more in maintaining a white majority where immigrants come in to assimilate rather than dominate, to take resources.
Okay.
And national resources.
I understand you agree with how the immigration is structured in the white majority, but I think that still doesn't answer my question. Because like my question is not that crazy either. It's kind of clear what he wants, and agree or disagree, whichever part you want. But when he says he wants a white majority, okay, he wants white folks in charge. As a majority in terms of the political apparatus, do you agree or disagree with that?
Maintaining a white majority.
No. Okay. I'm not talking about population. I'm talking about those in power, those who make the decisions. He's very publicly stated that he wants a white majority. That's important for power political politics. So I'm asking, do you share that opinion?
Well, I don't know if that's true. I mean, he was working on Ye's campaign. He was running for president. We were both working on a political campaign. Ye's black. So I mean, if he didn't want black people or minorities in charge, he wouldn't have been working on that campaign.
Okay, let's try to take a look at some clips. Actually, I think this happened even in the debate. And I think it's important. I'm just trying to understand where your overlap is, because yeah, I think it's kind of important.
Yeah, the majority overlap is that we both agree that Israel is the cause of so many issues.
Which country? All right, so let's see. This is during the debate. were there.
4-year-old debate.
Well, he's president. He's already been doing politics for years. He speaks on it, and a lot of his goals are still staying in regards to the white majority stuff. So it's ridiculous.
He's talking about the fact that he wants like a white core. I find it interesting that there's a specific idea about a white core. Nick, would you not concede the fact that both white and black Americans that were imported here?
Oh wait, let me make sure everyone else.
Slave trade. The genesis of this country, it should have just as much hope. But I'm pretty confident that if black Americans had a majority core, you would not be okay with it, right?
Well, because America's not historically a majority black nation.
But if it became one, they have just as much claim to the country as the white folks, do they not?
Well, I think as the people that are in America, yeah, sure.
Okay, so let's say tomorrow they started overpopulating like crazy, and then they became a majority. Would you be fine with it?
He's out of here.
Probably not, no.
He's out of here.
No, why are you cool with that, though? Because I understand, like, bro, niggas a lost cause. It is what it is. And it's like, oh, Sneaker, I think it's actually sad about it.
Another quote was probably popular in that. But the reason why I brought up that example, the reason why that kind of stood out, is like sometimes I'll hear Nick and then he sounds like, I just want to those grounds for us to be keeping the white majority, keeping things good, but these are Americans, these are our brothers, okay? And the reason why I brought the black Americans, like obviously the slave trade, they were brought here, they invested a lot of themselves over dozens of generations. And I had the question in my head, like, they have a claim to the country as well, and that they put their blood, soil, into the country and invested in it. That I think through a marathon history, different amounts of choices, they end up populating more. Is that something you would be fine with? He says no. And to me, it's very clear that one, he wants, a racial hierarchy in terms of just the numbers, but also that anyone who's not white, there's going to be a country in terms of their generational input into it. And so when I hear him talk like this, and then I hear a lot of his other views in regards to things, I think it's very clear how he wants to set up that hierarchy for his people. And I feel like you don't necessarily disagree that you shared the fact that you should have a white majority. You also share the idea that black folks should be a cap for African Americans in regards to how high they can necessarily climb as a group or population.
No, I don't believe in population control. I'm not saying that. I definitely don't believe that black people should be capped in how many kids they have. But the same goes for Japan, is limiting the amount of immigration. They want to maintain the majority Japanese in the country. Russia can say that, but so many times Americans say that that's racist. Yeah, I think overall, if you look at history, you look at successful nations that maintain their core, they maintain a structure where there's a specific majority, specific ideologies, and specific government. That's how you maintain it. That all change. That's going to change rapidly. It's so rapidly it has in the past 20 years. With the demographics, whites used to be 80% of the population, now they're 60%. They're going to change in this country really quickly, and everything points to the fact that that's not going to be successful. So I understand wanting to have whites as the majority population in America.
I don't think that necessarily relates to what I said. I don't think Japan is not a problem. And tremendous amount of issues in regards to birthing their own people themselves. I mean, they're on an island with just each other. They don't want to be fucking and having kids. So, they're a population that's dying out, and they may have issues that they're going to deal with long term. The idea that multiculturalism doesn't work because you point to Japan. Sorry, Japan, Korea, they also have a big crisis coming up with Social Security and old people not having enough kids, and no one's stopping them from fucking. Okay? When you look to America, America flourished under multiculturalism. Sure, it had a white majority, but its biggest boom came in from bringing people from foreign countries and then taking the best from all over the world for all different cultural mentality.
But I've stated my view on immigration many times. I am pro-legal immigration. I want to bring in immigrants who want to benefit this country. But I'm not a fan of mass immigration, mass imports of different demographics all over the world. People who are getting H-1B visas, that stuff does not benefit. And it just seems that they use this country to extract resources for themselves without showing allegiance to this country. That's not good for America. Essentially, a clip too, if you want to maybe bring this up, just clarify their stance on race and the idea of American first.
Sent it to me in Discord. pop it on the same screen.
This is the more recent clip. The one you showed us from 4 years ago. This is from October 3rd.
Get some backbone.
Не подобається мені.
Get the courage of your convictions. If you're out there, and by the way, I don't care what color you are. I know maybe that's going to be controversial on my side. But seriously, if you have citizenship, if you were born in this country, this is your birthright. This is our lives. This is our rights. This is our heritage. It's our tax dollars. It's our government. It's our military. This is our country. This is our empire. I'll unite with anybody who proclaims America first above all other countries, including and especially Israel. And they're on the other side of this one, and they're wrong. They need to be put back in place. Anybody who says that America should come second needs to be reminded your place is number 2. America's number 1. Anything else, it's not even number 2. It's number 100. It's America first, second, third, fourth, fifth. That's what we're about. Anyway.
Okay. So what do you think that clip says?
Saying that here, there's a lot of different demographics, and we should prioritize our country when it comes to nationalism. You come here, you're born here, you have American citizenship, you got to put America first above all. The number one issue is short to religious to Israel. Yeah. So they'll lie with people who agree with that. I agree. You said, like, should we put caps on black people? Should we not? Obviously, I don't agree with that. If it naturally happens that a different race takes up the majority, then there's no reason that there should be any sort of government infiltration to stop that, right? But I'm against mass immigration from different countries, and well, like I don't agree with a white power structure, but for a country to succeed, it does need to maintain its original core. And this country started as a predominantly white country.
Yeah, I think that because a lot of these movements are going mainstream, they're finding great ways to obfuscate true views in order to be able to be politically expedient. And I feel that when I see Nick, and I think I see that even with their current admin. When I see rhetoric of stuff like deporting American citizens because they committed a crime, and then oftentimes the way they talk about this is very specifically geared towards those in the minority communities. It's very clear to me then, or it starts to become clear to me what I'm listening to. When I hear things about how they want to close off immigration except from like white specific countries, it's very clear to me what the project and the identity is. And I don't know, Sneeko, if you are looking at them for what they're actually trying to do and then just buying the rhetoric. I think, me personally, the way I've seen things evolve and how it don't even matter if you're a citizen, you just got the wrong accent, all folks like that is. So, to me, I think it's almost too much of a good faith interpretation considering the past rhetoric and some of the actions that we're seeing and how they're being supported. The idea that you're going to stop immigration, but then you're only going to accept it for white South Africans or whatever it is.
He didn't even say that.
I'm not talking about him specifically. I'm not just macroing out a little bit, okay? But I'm talking about how things are actually manifesting in terms of political behavior. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, so
I'm not sure when that was. Who said that? When has that ever been made that point that immigration only from white countries?
And that's a thing that's happening right now in terms of refugee status. There's a lot of people claim asylum.
Trump said that?
Yeah, that's the only ones who were accepting. So it's from South Africa, the West.
I disagree. Should be immigrants who want to benefit this country.
Okay, I guess we disagree. I'm just trying to tell you how they're actually manifesting in terms of real. So there's the rhetoric and there's what they're actually trying to get to as an end point. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. I see. What you're essentially saying is that you think that I'm being as a useful tool to push white supremacy, right?
I think that. Let me just. Give me a second. I think partially that statement. I think even larger than that. I think that. And I can say the same for myself. So if I need myself. You and I both make content in regards to wokeness, in regards to sometimes black folks will have like this like victim narrative. Some of them will use the fact that they're black to just try to escape accountability when they hit somebody or when they did something like these are all stories that you and I have covered. Okay? And I don't know if you've had this, but I cover it in earnest. I just don't like people being a scumbag and then trying to use like the black plight to me is a real thing. The idea that you would use that to try to get out of something pisses me off. On the same token, I also talk about the fact that sometimes folks get targeted on the basis of their race, and that's also a real thing. But when I cover certain stories, or I put it a certain type of way, sometimes I'll attract an audience that's not there for the same reason. Do you get what I'm saying? And so, I'm not even intending, or I'm not even pushing some kind of narrative. I'm just trying to say this is wrong. And some of the people who are now cheering me on, I'm realizing I'm attracting. And I think in your case, I feel like that's been the case about. I believe you really believe these things. I think you say them. I think you think it in good faith and you follow it. But I don't think yet that some people that are involved or following or doing so with the intention that they actually like to.
Okay. I mean, but that's not what I believe in. If there's an overlapping audience, I'm not responsible for all of their beliefs. People can disagree and watch my content for no reasons. But the point of claim that the content creator won't misrepresent what they actually stand for is significant.
Repeat that message.
Saying your audience is racist, therefore it's your fault that they're racist is not a fair criticism.
Why?
Because I'm not responsible for the beliefs of everybody that watches my content.
Right. But you have control over how you curate things to kind of people.
Right. And overall, the most important issue, the most pressing issue that we need to immediately address in this country, if you're Canadian, not even American, is how much Israel is purging this country. So his political movement is by and large one that's threatening that power structure the most. So if we can align with that, if we can ally on that, I see that as the best use of my whatever political influence I have.
So you think it's more important to align yourself with potentially anybody and then fight against this issue? That's what you're saying? I don't want to misrepresent. That's that.
The most important issue in America right now is getting rid of AIPAC, that's not listed as a foreign agent, and the Israeli influence that's all over America. Epstein files have determined just how much he knows. So this is the most important issue to you. Although I have disagreements, I disagree with Nick on many things. Like Venezuela, we publicly talk about our disagreements. A lot of his supporters disagree about the Haitian gas situation. What's most important is that power structure and challenging that. So, yeah, it's fine if some people are going to watch my stream and disagree. It is what it is.
Yeah, I would disagree that that's the most important thing, and I would disagree that how you do it doesn't. If I align with myself with some people whose political worldview being actually like harm my people, I can do it. While I may be defeating the problem there, I may be taking a future problem for me and my family or my people down the road. Like, in aligning yourself with some of these folks, you are also partially legitimizing the very people who will attack Haitians for the cats and dogs. You are like I mean, Fuentes has got enough clips where they said, "What about the Haitians?" and you trying to defend them. And I know some of it was joking.
He came to New York. We did a vlog. It was still bad on YouTube at the time. He came up to me and he said that he respects me for defending Haitians in that situation because I was right about that. And it was a lot of it was joking around about the Haitians and the cat thing because most of them are white and I'm not. But he gave me credit for being right about that.
Yeah. No, I'm not here to say that like, Nick has no irredeemable qualities or he doesn't treat you in a way that's not. That's not the point I'm making. I'm saying that if this person, okay, you know, I watched you debate Myron on Muslims praying in the square, right? And Myron in that debate had this standard. Was that?
He's in the shower right now.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you always be tuning in, but Myron had the cookie cutter stance of like, you know, the hyper-conservative, like, we don't want any religions other than Catholicism around here. The Muslims are a problem when they're doing this in this public space. We don't want that. If it's not, you know, I was listening to that, and then you gave the kind of freedom of religion concept in place. So I thought to myself, hey, you really seem to care about this. You want there to be a space for Muslims to feel like they're part of their country, all this stuff. I'm like, cool. And then at the same time, I see some of the people that you're surrounded with, folks you're promoting, by, you know, spending a lot of time collaborating. I'm like, these people, if they had their political will enacted and they are growing in influence, would harm Muslims that are just like you. Like, you're not going to get more freedoms for Muslims. You're not going to get more respect or ethical behavior towards Haitians if these people get their political worldview enacted. And so I just have a hard time understanding how you can advocate for these people and really feel like you're defending them, and at the same time help promote people whose world political view harms your folks.
They promote mine as well. I mean, look, so your disagreement is collaborating with people that we disagree with. Right now, we're doing a stream together. It's like we disagree. What are we promoting each other, even though you're pro-Pride Parade and I'm not?
No, my point is not that you disagree with something. My point is that oftentimes, even when you're doing stream with these people, you guys are not actively having debates where you guys are trying to disagree with them. Or a lot of it is just you guys enjoying each other's company and really helping to promote each other's events and different things like that. So you have to understand, you're not just here with someone you disagree with. You're here with somebody that you disagree with, but you're also normalizing to your audience, and you're also helping to promote to more people. So there is a nefarious aspect to it in which they grow and they get stronger, and by their political strength end up hurting your people. And I don't even think what I'm saying is that crazy, because like even earlier, I think you said that if Malcolm X was alive today, the person you admire, he would look at you some type of way for the people you are with. Right?
Yeah, and I reiterated. One, I don't know what you're talking about when they're saying that Muslims should be persecuted. And two, the one who's providing the most amount of persecution towards Muslims is Netanyahu in Israel, who, I don't know if we both agree, controls America. They're in charge, and they have been the ones pushing the propaganda, publicly saying they're giving influencers 7K to push this. Right? Whenever they try to cover up the genocide of Palestine, they ramp up the hatred towards Muslims. That's why, because praying in Times Square gets amplified so much to make people hate and to distract. It's a distraction technique. So these people have done the most to make life for Muslims difficult. Then if I align with Christians who also agree that this power structure needs to be removed, that is the best use of my voice.
Okay, but aligning yourself with Christians on I don't affect that you're working with people, helping to make them more positive. That's their worldview. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you aligning with Christians, about the Jewish stuff. That's perfectly fine.
It's what's on at Chemist Warehouse.
We explore helpful healthcare for the whole family.
Like struggling with stubborn stool and worrying about a busy week ahead.
Try Movicol from Chemist Warehouse. It harnesses the power of water, drawing it into the stool to hydrate, soften, and help restore regular bowel movement.
Amazing. Get relief from stubborn stools with Movicol Adult Lemon Lime 30s.
It's $18.49 at Chemist Warehouse. And for the kids, try Movicol Junior Sachet.
What a relief. Move on with Movicol.
And if you have a skin tag that you would like to move on, we have an easy, effective, and quick treatment right here. It's Duofilm Skin Tag Treatment. It removes skin tags by freezing in as little as one application.
So good, Haley. So, what's in the kit?
The dispenser has a detachable metal applicator.
But you said the same thing about Nick Fuentes. Like they say have the same criticism towards him. They say a lot of them say I'm a brown clown. Steele's a radical Islamist. You're amplifying him. Nick is far more popular than me currently. We still collaborate all the time.
Дядька, для тебе
What
завжди
the
без черги.
content is. You talk to people that you disagree with. I'm friends with people that I disagree with. I don't stand for everything they stand for, but we can have an overlapping agreement. We can speak about that. And I've debated about Venezuela. I've debated him about many things I disagree with. But so what you're saying is I shouldn't amplify people who I disagree with. Then okay, we have a different content.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying advocating for Muslim positions, and you were seeing a surge of Islamic or Muslim-related positions and their advocacy groups and their power structure growing, I think that Nick would face an immense amount of pressure from people in his sphere for ever associating with you. And I think it would be a political issue.
He does get that. He does. You know how many people tell him that they should? I see this all everywhere from his associates, from his fans. They say that he should cut S.t.a.l.k.e.r off because he's a brown Muslim all the time, and that I'm getting amplified, and that it's legitimizing what I believe in.
Oh, I thought you were just getting.
That's a very constant. Yeah. But,
yeah, and I would say this: if he made the decision for the betterment of his people, decide to cut you off, then that would make sense to me because it feels like it's congruent. I don't see a growing Muslim power structure, so there's no threat. So I think for him to actually remain friends with you doesn't actually threaten anything that he's doing. But on the other hand, it's completely different. If the Groypers or if the people who really align with the extreme parts of MAGA get to expand their powers, absolutely you're going to see things happen to Muslims in this country. And actually, in fact, you already saw it. Even with Israel-Palestine, who has legitimized Israel more than this Trump administration? They go out of their way to.
Right. The America First movement, they didn't vote for Trump. He's criticized Trump so much, like heavily criticized the war in Iran and the fact that he hasn't deported enough people. He's been criticizing Trump the entire second term.
Yes, I think you're at least the Nick in that. I'm trying to explain to you that if you align yourself with, let's say, the MAGA folks right now, you can see how you.
I know.
Hold on, just follow. If you align yourself with the MAGA folks, which you don't, but let's say you did, and you were constantly promoting them, you do collabs, they get popular, they get to power. What ends up happening? When you're seeing the effects of Muslims in their foreign countries, you're seeing the benefits to certain groups, right? You are part of that thing that ends up hurting the folks that you clearly care about. In that same token, if his political movement gets to grow, okay, it'll be at the expense, it'll be to the benefit of white folks, it'll be at the expense of black folks, it'll be at the expense of the Haitians, it'll be at the expense of the Muslims. They won't allow you the religious freedoms. They won't allow you the religious freedoms that you're asking. You think the Groypers are going to? You think the Groypers are going to allow for you? Do you think the Groypers are going to allow for you to do your Muslim prayer in Times Square?
Okay. At no point did he ever say that there shouldn't be Muslims that exist in America. In fact, I think it benefits having a Christian in charge that doesn't have allegiance to Israel, because America does have religious freedom. And important values allows people to choose things to do. When we follow American doctrine, this makes it a safer place for Muslims than it does for the current power structure that's run by Israelis. Also, I'm not a fan of division, right? I want unity. I want what Malcolm X wanted. I want Christians and Muslims to be able to coexist. I want Jews. I want everybody to be able to coexist properly. I think by not interacting with people because I think that they have a disagreement with me, I think that stirs up more division instead of creating unity. If I want unity, then I should be able to communicate with people I disagree with, because Muslims are only 3% of the population. So many people have disagreements. But by having conversations and interacting, this is normalizing the unity that I want in the future.
I'm going to ask a question. Do you think that if the Groypers they would fund
would force black people to stop having children. I think that they would lower the amount of immigration coming up, but I don't think
so. They would just allow themselves to do race by
I think that they would encourage white people to have more children and try to compete in that realm, and maybe things like pride parades would stop being celebrated, and then more normal relationships where children are being produced would be encouraged. There would be more of a push to have
think this is an incredibly good faith interpretation. I think it's very charitable. I don't think the rhetoric I've seen from the right and what workers believe is like me personally. But I think I get where you're coming from. I think that's probably something to spirit alive. Actually, do you want to say anything on this topic, or tonight might be misunderstood?
Well, yeah, I want to. What do you think is the number one important issue for your Canadian? What's the number one most important issue to address right now?
Well, as a Canadian, like, right? The main thing about America is America's very interventionist. It involves itself in a lot of countries. It creates a lot of these like-bearing important trade roles. And it tethers itself to a lot of the infrastructure. And right now, it's putting on that integration to apply pressure and change people's lives. So I can tell you here in Canada, our lives have been incredibly impacted by the new administration in regards to the economy, in regards to job opportunities, and has a lot of change. So as much as I don't want you to necessarily have to care about American politics, unfortunately, we're just so tied together as neighbors that the economy is a lot of changes. So when you ask me, like, are the Jews my main concern? Like, no, is Israel my main concern? No. Do I think what's happening in Israel and Palestine? That's not what I asked you. Because I know you talked about the influence of APEC. So I'm just trying to get to the point. That to me is not my top concern. For me, my top concern right now in the world is when is the affordability crisis. I think that's just growing by the day. I think as job opportunities are disappearing, people are getting more and more lost and worried about the future. So that's my number one priority, my number one issue. And then, I think that's number one.
So why is there an affordability crisis?
I think it is across the board. I think with AI and a lot of that stuff, I think it's impacting job market aspects. I also think economically speaking, this one administration has done a lot of harm to the economy. I think personally, this is not a topic I really go deeply on because I'm just somebody who tends to do more than I do speak. But I could tell you, why do you think
So you said that the reason there's an affordability crisis is AI and the economy?
Well, I think the way that they've hampered their own industries, I think some of the investment choices that have been made, I think
investments, okay.
Yeah. So I think, for example, the tariffs are a great example of that won't hurt the world economy in general and America itself. I think you're seeing a loss of jobs. I think jobs now are really down than they were almost a year ago, and they're still going down. So obviously the job market is just fucking in the toilet in that regard. There's a lot of uncertainty. It's so multifaceted in regards to the housing market. There's so many different things, but I personally just don't feel like the best authority to advise to.
I'm just asking what you think is the number one important issue. I mean,
that's number one important issue. Affordability.
Affordability. Okay.
Yes.
So the reason you listen were AI and investments, right? Like the spending budget, where our money's going. Okay, so you said AI and investments, and by investments, do you mean where our tax dollars are going and where the American budget's going, correct? Investing into, like, the military-industrial complex, by the way, that's the number one spending. It's the number one.
If you're asking me the causes, I have enough humility to asking me the causes. I can't tell you. I can speculate, but like it's just it's not something I'm well read enough to even point to sources. Okay? If I can tell you the one thing, I couldn't tell you the reasons why. I can tell you what I think is the number one issue, and that's affordability. That's the real answer.
Okay, but I mean, then I don't think it's fair for you to be like overly so critical about who I'm aligning with and what the repercussions are, what the future's going to happen. You have very strong opinions about my platform and what I'm going to do, while also admitting that you don't know what the main issue is.
What do you mean I don't know what the main issue is?
You said that your main issue is affordability. You don't know why it happens.
Okay. So
if you don't know that, then I don't think it's fair to also have so many criticisms about what I believe in and my goals or my aspirations.
Well, I don't.
How can you have strong opinions about me and my platform, but not strong opinions?
Super easy. I don't critique you about points about affordability. I think there's also the rise in fascism and right-wing groups that are incredibly extreme. I think there's a rise in that. There's a rise in this kind of politics where it's going to restrict people's rights. And that's something that I might know more about. And I think it's not the number one issue, which is what you're asking about, but it's an issue. And that's something I think will play a part.
Well, it's affordability. Okay, affordability, right. So Gen Z holds, the average debt of Gen Z is $94,000. And the average 30-year-old does not own a house, who's not married anymore. In the 1960s, the average 30-year-old was married and had a kid. Today, like less than 10%. At the age of 30 are married and can own a home. Owning a home is a pipe dream now. Getting married and having children at that age is also a pipe dream. So why does that happen? Why are we at this place right now? We're at this place because military spending is the number one. That's where the budget majority goes. 70% of our budget is towards the military-industrial complex. Where is the military fighting wars? Why is this so expensive?
Okay, if you're asking these questions, I say I don't know. Now, if you want to say to me, I don't agree. Hold on. Hey, hold on. I just want to say, if you say I have an issue with how much is spent on the military budget, and I don't think it's justified, I think it's for the wrong reasons, probably get me to believe that. I can learn more about it more than I'm willing to. But I don't know what that has to do with my criticisms of you and what you're saying earlier. What does this have to do with that?
Because you're criticizing my worldview and who I'm aligning with politically, and I'm explaining to you what the most important issue is to me. Right? So you have strong opinions about that, while also admitting that you don't have strong opinions about what you think is the issue.
I'm not criticizing your worldview, though.
Okay, so then you scrutinize my worldview. I'm trying to figure out yours. You said that your biggest issue is affordability. I'm trying to tell you why that is, why there's an affordability crisis.
Okay. I'm hearing what you're saying.
And the other thing you listed was AI. The other one you listed was AI. LLMs and ChatGPT have been infiltrated completely by Zionists. Sam Altman is the owner of ChatGPT. He's the gay Jew. Netanyahu has said publicly how they're using LLMs and how they're programming it to fit their agenda. The reason that AI is replacing these jobs so quickly, you have to look at who's behind it and who's controlling it. The reason that there's an affordability crisis, you could even go back to the central bank system that started from the Rothschilds. Epstein in his files recently just said he represents the Rothschilds. We no longer operate off of the gold standard. The Rothschilds, they are the ones who bought the land and were able to make the trade deal with England to displace Palestinians. And to start Israel. Israel is connected. Israel exists because of the Rothschilds. Epstein represented the Rothschilds. But the affordability crisis goes right back. And apparently you seem like you agree with me that Israel is the main issue. Israel is the main parasite causing the problem that you said is the main concern.
No, see, I would agree with you if I believed that was true or if I knew that was true. I don't. So that's why I don't put it out there. Now, if it turns out to be true, then we can have a different discussion. I don't do that right.
What do you need me to look up to show you that the Rothschilds started?
Well, I would have to actually look up a lot of the information that I read up on. This is not something I read up on, so I'm very transparent. No, but what I am going to get back to is when I criticize you, I don't criticize you because you are critical of Israel. I don't criticize you because you want to talk about the Rothschilds or any of these things. My criticism of you is how you're engaging with facts and how you determine something to be a fact when you repeat it, your definition of investigative journalism, your idea of caring for people and thinking about the rights of fellow Muslims or fellow Haitians or whatever, and then also aligning yourself with people who would probably harm that. These are criticisms that are very pointed and very specific. And then you're pointing me to the economy and then Israel's influence. Are you trying to say I'm ignorant of Israel, and you think it's more important to align yourself with these people who are against Israel, even if it hurts your own people? Is that where you?
One, I don't concede and think that it hurts my own people. I think that there's more of a benefit than Israel being in control right now. And my second point is that I think you should redirect the energy that you spend. You brought up so many clips of over the years, I think I've said, debates, my career. That would be better invested in our structure. You said the main concern in the West right now is the affordability crisis. You would invest in the time to debate into why there's an affordability crisis. I think you should apply that same criticism towards me, towards what's going on.
No, there's other people who do that. I want to focus in on the things that I'm interested in, that I feel like I'm purview, and that I have a genuine. It's not my responsibility. If, let's say tomorrow, okay, the housing crisis. The housing crisis is so bad, half the people are homeless. If I don't have a genuine motivation, I'm not taking facts and things speak on it. I have a responsibility to talk about it. That's akin to you saying everybody should stop talking about everything because Israel's a bigger deal. Is that what you want for the world?
That's not what I'm saying. So do you find me more interesting than Israel?
Play house with all new Woolworths Bricks Home. And right now, get a bonus Bricks pack when you buy
I find talking about the way content creators engage in content and influence and all these things important. One, two, I feel internally motivated. Yeah. I feel more interested in talking about how people engage with facts. Why? Why? Act like I would.
You invest more time in
It's less important. You think it's the top issue. I would argue that influence is more also. No. Yeah, you're saying the affordability crisis is there's two parts. And you're saying there's something wrong with me dealing with number 4 on the list instead of number 1. Right? How can I deal with number 4?
Because priorities are out of whack. Priorities should always be number 1, right? Priorities should be on number 1, not number 4.
No, you're wrong. The priority of the government and the people I elected and responsibility, their priority should be on that. My job and what I'm going to take advantage of is what I'm going to influence, what I feel capable, what in my interest to me. That's what like, it's a very weird thing that you're doing, because you're essentially saying, because I didn't put my focus on the number 1 issue in the world, there's something weird about that. So it's like, no, I'm focusing on the issue. Like, if somebody does good, how do they tell the woodworker to stop eating what you're good at? Not everyone has to go into engineering. That's I'm for aim. Okay, let's agree that this is a reason, okay? But you also think it's very important. First question let's see. I believe that this is going to hurt your
assertion that it's going to harm without knowing who's going to go out. How can you insinuate that this is worse off when you're saying you don't even know who's going out? Yeah, how are you saying that this power structure is going to harm if you're also saying that I don't know who's in control and I'm going to vote for that no better? How can you make the assertion that this is bad while not knowing what's going on right now?
I don't know what you
said you don't know why there's
So I'm actually trying.
Yeah. You said you don't know why there's an affordability crisis and you're not going to invest in your time. You made the assertion that the people I'm aligning with are going to harm. You cannot confidently say that this is going to be harmful while also admitting you don't know why there's an affordability crisis right now. You can't prove the negative.
Okay, I'm going to answer a part of this what I told you. Okay? I know that if the extreme right or the Roy-First get in power, that for minorities and for religious minorities, it's really bad. Very open about the fact that they don't like these groups, they don't want them to spread, and they want to maintain their control. So it is bad, right? You're limiting people's freedoms. Much of that should prioritize freedoms. You're already that. So it is inherently going to be bad based on the things that they want to do. So I know that's going to be bad, yes. But
is that better or worse than the power structure that we have?
Is that better or worse than the power structure that we have?
It's a white majority Christian country, like that power structure that you're saying is better, is that worse off than the power structure?
I think it's very close. I think you can make certainly an argument. I think either way, whether you're going to be advocating for MAGA or the Draper types, I think, yeah, you're fucking over the people. Yeah, for sure. I don't think that's a hot take.
Not fucking over the people.
Yeah. I think Israel is a land. Yes. I think that's one of them.
White majority Christian, somebody who says it could be anybody. Christianity does not want to come into it. Does that create a better? Say there was a white Christian leader of America. If that doesn't have allegiance to Israel,
okay.
Would that be a better country for poor people, Muslims, brown people? Would that create a better environment for those people than what's happening with Israel right now? Or would that be worse?
I feel like that's what I feel like. This is like the question is how I'm interpreting, so you can get that. I feel like I'm living in like Jim Crow segregation America. And you're like, you feel like it's better to be either here or the Nazis under them. And it's like, I feel like both of these apparatuses are horrible for me as a minority. And if I have an ideal choice, I'm going to try to align myself with people who are going to fight for my rights. That's what I mean.
Which one is more?
I would imagine Nazi.
Okay, instead of this hypothetical, I'm talking about what's happening now.
But no, that is my point, though. I think the Groypers and their worldview is horrible. I think what they advocate for is horrible, and I think what MAGA is doing is horrible. So you have the two groups, and essentially, I'm saying, why don't you go with the third? With folks who are bad for your folks. That's my point.
Would you rather live under Zionist control, or would you rather live in American first control?
Oh, for sure. Like, 100%, I would not support Nick Fuentes over whatever we got right now. No.
It's not my question.
It is. Because you said, no, it actually is. Because you just said.
It doesn't have to be Nick. It doesn't have to be Nick.
I'm talking about Nick and the Groypers. Yes, I would not.
Would you rather live with Zionism?
You already said that we... No, but you already said that we live under Zionist control. Is that not true? That's what you've been telling me this whole time, that Israel controls the country. So we live under the Zionist control that you're describing.
I don't know if you agree. I don't know if you agree with that. I'll simplify the question as best I can. Would you rather live with Zionist control without Zionism?
Hold on. You're crazy. I want to live... I want to live without foreign influence as much as possible when it comes to how politics operate. That's the answer. So whether it's Zionist, whether it's some other group, I don't want nobody listening.
Majority, hold on, but you're kind of obfuscating. What's the majority of foreign influence in America?
If you want to say it's life, I don't mind. I agree with you. I'm going to agree with you.
I'm not asking what is it, but what do you think it is?
Шукайте неньку, тут до хрена місця, де можна заникати добро.
Why do you act like I'm afraid to say it? I'm not afraid to say it.
Що-то тут мутно.
Треба все прокурсати.
I just think that right now,
Херня яка-то.
yeah, I do. Concern, no, hold on. That this is the issue that we have. It's only number one because our other are meant to work. If your went not their way, you would have number one. Because I personally don't really going to think about housing as much, affordability, if I'm going to be jailed for whatever reason, or I'm going to be denied certain opportunities to work because they want to make sure white folks are in power. So, no, that's going to change the problem. Yeah. I'm glad that these people don't have housing. Because if they had housing, it'd be worse off than all of them. No, hold on. It's words matter. No. Listen. When I say the prior, one person means that it's an issue. So example, it's having country where you have no listen to the question. Have no human rights, vulnerability to that. No human rights. Wants to fully authoritarian, okay? This is what I'm saying. No human rights, vulnerability to that. What's the priority? Owning a home is a human right? What does that have? Okay, so I'm going to answer the question first. But the answer is human rights are obviously most important. Is human rights a priority today? Because we don't have it.
Вибачай, друже. Я заберу.
Not mean that that is more important. It's just more pressing right now. That's the distinction I'm trying to make. You think that because I prioritize it, I think it's the most important thing in the world. No, I'm saying we have to focus on this because the house is on fire. But after the house is not on fire, I still think human rights are more important. It's just this is the number one priority.
Як мені на чергування, так погода псується.
Wait, you're not actually trying to say that.
З якого питання?
Like to live in a country where owning a home,
Вільно.
you think that that human right is more important? Well, that's my opinion.
Як же я задовбався.
Human rights are. Hold on. That you expect time to law. There's no law. There's no law.
Вибачай, друже. Я заберу.
That's the right to
Щось тут не те.
have it. That's why number 4. You don't think that there's other forms of freedom involved? You don't think that there's tennis about offense? You don't think there's shorter sports play? The idea that we have a big problem when it comes to affordability, when it comes to whether or not we have access to food on the field, and you're just going to choose. It sounds legal. That's honestly what it sounds. And you're trying to take your What you said? You said 9. Number 6. You said quarterly.
Ще одна вилазка і звалю нахрін із зони.
Out. Yes, but it's better.
Oh my god, why is it not working? Fuck's sakes.
At the end of the so explain how to think. Okay, so it's not all this, it's all of it feedback. Right, but eventually all the thread, all the different ones, feedback becomes the two. You explain how, right? I can ask you the question, like, after you explain it. But I just
is all consuming.
Yeah, like it's very involved in politics. You know, it leads to your personal relationships, leads to how these people are. And I'm wondering for you, is there ever a good way to do that?
How do I disconnect from politics? I mean, yeah, it's different. I'm not really into what politics is what I do. But I played video games on stream yesterday. I'm dropping a video on the channel tomorrow, which is very and dropping over my house.
When you meet somebody, they don't know anything about you. Obviously, is there ever a part of you comes to that's concerning you like that when they come into the city? Is there ever a part of you that finds that kind of liberating when you have to speak?
Absolutely, yeah. This world of politics is very messy and a lot of debates, and it gets angry and it gets manipulative and it's genuine. I have probably an artist person, but my main focus is always films, and I like shooting a lot of enjoying it. And I see as
just kind of the time I do see like look up even here like love and I always wonder considering like the religious side of things how it's kind of contrast with a lot of that kind of is there ever a battle with that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, stuff like art is not really encouraged religiously. That's different. But I see art as a way to make people think differently. But it's not motivating all.
Yeah. To me, they're almost like most. I know because I grew up in used to have Quran readings on Saturday, learning the alphabet, that we taught most of them. But I remember just learning about how like music was kind of like I'm actually asking about the eternal life, but that's your faith is growing and your love for the religion is growing.
Прокидається сталкер після гулянки. Йому в обличчя тихається.
Оце я задовбався сьогодні.
Каже сталкер. Сорти білочка. Каже всі собака. Блін, ти не смієш.
This place allows, free mixing is everywhere. I like music. I should probably get better at that. But it's just what it's like being in America.
Do you see yourself growing in religion and staying in this country, or do you feel like you're most likely to leave it?
There was a period where I thought about moving to Asia, but as of now, I love America, and I want to remain here, but that's something I'm still trying to figure out.
Yeah, I hear how outspoken you are, and I hear how artistic you are, and also when you have the more liberal aspects of the Western society, and also do you feel like the kind of stuff that you do good living in a more conservative part of the world? Do you ever think like that might be something that would hamper? Do you ever think that might have to sacrifice one point for you? Or does it mean nothing?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, that's why I'm imperfect. I am a sinner. I want to still, I do enjoy the freedoms that America provides. That doesn't coincide exactly with my religion. That does make me imperfect. And I do love that about America. That I have the freedom of expression here. I have free speech. Yeah, it's stuff that doesn't coexist with my faith. That's what makes it such great.
I think for a long time,
Мама казала, Давай, ходи до музикалки. Зараз без таких їдете на гітарі мужикам лабав.
As bad as it is that we have the examples of like some of the more serious stuff, still have meetings and that sort of shit. I think the other end of that spectrum is probably worse for someone like me. I like games, bro. I dance professionally. I enjoy going out. I'm not giving a fuck about these things. I enjoy making music. I love the production. I like making songs. I like the steps and doing all that little labor. And I also know that if you were a musician and you said they're going to go to prison, they go to prison. Yeah, I wonder if as you're hearing all these different voices, people that more liberal voices, how do you, what helps you?
We all know that AI is terrible at text. Until now, I am partnering with Adobe Firefly to show you S.t.a.l.k.e.r, a model that actually understands letters, spacing, and layout inside images. What if you could generate a complete graphic for Instagram, image and text in a single prompt? And I'm talking even quote, post, even text in different languages.
What do you lean on to kind of guide you? Is it all just internal? Do you have specific people you speak to that you trust? Is it just going back to the Quran? Like, how do you...
My time?
Not your time, but the direction. Obviously, you have this huge force of right? So, how do you... What do you lean on?
I just lean on back to the faith. That's, the deen is the straight path. That's what's most important to follow. Obviously, I speak to different people. I have different friends from around the world. I speak to them. But obviously, what's most important is the deen.
All right. I think this is one last thing I want to show you from like a previous conversation. Actually, no. Let me pause. Do you have anything that you want to bring up before?
Yeah, no. I mean, once again, I appreciate you trying to have a good faith discussion and analyze my career and like what I'm paying on the world fairly. I think it comes from a wrong place. A lot of people have been unfair and probably aren't going to be incentivized to be fair about this. I think a lot of people want to attack, but you must see something that this character is. So
I'll tell you what. So I get a lot of criticism. Oh, how many soft like, I think I don't. It's like you have to. I don't think that's good. I think that this is. Now maybe it's just you a little bit tight to whatever, but I actually appreciate the fact that some people say that now other actions you might take, I can do my part. If that's the actions that I'm doing is genuine, and I appreciate that. Because I think I only Ethiopian, so I'll oftentimes defend when it's correct, I won't defend it. And seeing you do the same thing, that I appreciate it. I think I've seen other instances over the years where I'm like, okay. And I think as far as the whole faith journey, I know everyone clowns on you for that, because you're an imperfect Muslim and whatever. But I also think I've seen you try to be very consistent on that, so that's why I share it everywhere. Yeah, that you're. So, I try not to categorize people too hard. I've definitely done that in the past, and it hasn't been fair. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. But as I get older, try to think. Maybe I'm wrong. I just want to believe that people do it, even if they're doing things that I disagree. I think that's what it is. That's fair. I think the only you did do this debate in the past. What part of it? I won't like you so bad. I just wanted to play it. I just wanted to ask you. Right?
keep it, but don't make it so that you leave it and consume you.
Okay, so this is a discussion that we had. This was S.t.a.l.k.e.r at the time. And this is a portion that I really remember zoning in on just because it was... Okay, so I'm going to
Не забувай, Стеру.
And there's a lot of stuff they talk about reflection and pondering that you realize, like, oh, okay, there's a certain sense of, like, as you get older, this is what you most people, and you're going to go through it yourself. You're going to have a better view of yourself. Almost like you're seeing yourself in the third person. You know how you play video games first-person shooting all the time? Playing a third-person shooter is completely different, because now you got your whole body in frame, you see what it looks like when you crouch. I think as human beings, we gain more of that perspective as we get older, but reflective. And what I used to believe at 21, I no longer believe now at 32, just because life experiences and my reflection to realize, like, that's not true at all. Maybe it's because you become more sedentary as you've gotten older, and, like, maybe it's because it's like you become less of that aggressive man that you were at 21. Like, right now, you're like, I'm all about my testosterone balls, manosphere shit, and then maybe you're just 32 and you're like, man, let me settle down. And you like fucking Sneeko? We all do, yeah. You like fucking you, pussy? Yeah. Believe it or not, that shit gets old. Nah. 100%. Nah. 100%. And I can point you to hundreds of players who are online right now who have videos every time you pussy gets old. In fact, how about I tell you this one? This is something even Andrew Tate says. This is something even Andrew Tate says. Alright? Sex becomes overrated. You know, it's overrated now. Yeah, it's like, it says new pussy's like, why do you think that is? Because you get used to it. It becomes like when you eat the same food over and over again, it becomes boring. That's why you get new. That's why you get new pussy, so you spice it up. Or you keep upgrading. That's what? After you've had enough new pussy, there is no more new pussy. There's always. Do you understand? There's always no, you think that. After you've had a few dimes, you realize dimes ain't nothing. All right. I do some yapping about priorities, and then I talk about like family and other things. Do you feel like I was tripping then, or do you think I was like missing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, pussy does get repetitive, and it's like it's a worthless pursuit. But I still do maintain that the best pussy is new pussy. That's gonna be there. That one is still. It's never gonna change. The best pussy is not like an all-time like the type of girl. It's always gonna be that excitement of getting that new dash.
Легко прогуляти.
Closing the kill, right? But
Можемо вирушати.
It's an empty pursuit. It's still a wasteful. It's a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, even for me, back then when we had that discussion, I think a lot has changed. I'm actually less sedentary than I was back then, so I had to know a little bit more as I get older. But listen, I think sometimes right now, about some type of life in regards. Strongly disagree on things, that's okay. At the end of the day, I want you to love your people. I want you to do the right things, and even if something right, right. And I also have to have enough humility to realize like I was wrong about some things back then too, and I'm still thinking so. Because I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you giving me a chance to kind of ask some of these questions and see where your head's at. Yeah, I really do appreciate that.
It takes a real man to admit that he was wrong. So I see a lot of people here.
You know, that's one of the I was listening to when you said you think that God killed and I still like that. You know, when I saw you as a young person, I told you, but I did one thing watching especially now, is that there was arrogance there. Still like this kind of like fuck your chest down attitude. But there was also enough self-awareness. Like, I'm not me, and we're all insecure, we're all protected. Because I want to slap your face because I have a insecure. But I felt like when I saw you during the master area, I felt like you were doing a little bit of easy cocky. Whilst like almost pretending insecurity. You know what I'm saying? You guys see the shit I'm talking about? To come back to what you being a real man.
stop being fighting. This is things going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
you know, never try to. So the last thing I was going to do is just when you look back on the
what
Red
fuck
Era,
gun do you have?
what is your what's your biggest real associated with? Is there anything other than that to come back to your life? What do we say?
I don't know with the Red. I think it was important. I think it was important to realize who really was fake, and I think it was important to go through that because I now realize that I need to trust it. And I assume that many people have the same intention that I have. Because then you shouldn't lie with them so easily, and then those people are going to be looking at you like vultures, especially in the content creator space. Like, I do think that the red pill and stuff is important, but so many people that have lost 2 red flags because the red pill's dead. So people that have fun in the space. So they can't speak, they don't know anything, they're pussies, and they just don't know anything. So to them, become a snake.
Yeah, I think the leaders need to be exposed. Not even just the people. Actually, remember when we talked about space and how people talk about that? You ever feel like there's a time where you compromise your values or you let it bite your tongue to maintain a friendship?
Probably. Yeah, I can't think of specific incidents.
When you were defending friendship, you went to war. And now that dude's on his podcast. I'm not gonna lie, bro, this is crazy. I mean, you were running around with a gun, like, you had the world hating you. And I was like, damn, it's like, it was so cool. It was so tough. And I just think about that much. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah. No, I did you did warn me about that. Sure.
I'm actually not even trying to take a victory lap. That's not my point. I just think, like, okay.
I was definitely dedicated on that, Chad.
Voice did a video of Fresh Ain't Got $1,000. I don't know everything about it. You ain't got $1,000. Can we just put that in for I just fucking with you a little bit, but you know damn well. When you was defending him, I'm like, defending him on something that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I did not hold me down.
You can't lie to the people, though. You can't lie to the people. Remember, you told me you can't do this. You gotta defend him on something that's true. I just love this. That was fun. And I just thought of Chris on that line with fucking Gary. He was like, see, look, makes us pass. You good things. And I was like, damn, for 200 viewers, you put a threat on this nigga and defended you against voice critical. That's crazy.
That was on the channel.
Yeah. Well, we was take it down, so shout out to them. Listen, bro, I know we have some strong disagreements, and honestly, if you feel like I did something, actually, no, yes, if you feel like I did something wrong, you feel like I
think you came off genuine, and some people are trying to say it's bad faith. I don't think this is your worldview, and it's good to have a discussion.
Yeah, bro, I truly love, I actually deeply care for them, and I know you do, so like, that part I hated for that reason, I really think that's where that came from. But actually, I have real love. No, I learned the language, so you can imagine how much appreciation I got from my Haitian. So that's something that we're always going to share. That's
That was cool.
Best suits you, Ava.
Alright, boss.
Best luck.
Добре біля дуги. Вітер виє. Там співає. Понял, видно. Я вирішив не спити з завтрашнього дня. Другому, опа, чого це раптом? А хочу здивувати кровососа, якого весь час підгодовую.
Смітник він і є смітник. Одна шваль міняється.
Якщо ви підете в лікарню, то збираєте лише ті гриби, в яких ви впевнені. Краще викинути зайвих кілька грибів, які ви думаєте, що можете їстівні, а можете не їстівні. Краще викинути їстівні.
О, привіт.
У самих воріт сталкер в аномалії загинає.
Ти заходь.
Їж, дали по черзі, ще й гранат накидали.
Можемо вирушати.
Печених яблук захотілося.
Ось.
Щось печених яблук.
Треба від вартівців подалі триматися. Про все. Слово не так скажеш, вони за зброю хапаються.
Людей спорят. Що це? Знищити ворога моноліту. Він тепер із моноліту.
5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7, 8, 2, 1. 5, 7, 9, 7.
Что-то тут мутно.
Зараз! Масля зберу! Масля зберу!
Не затримуйся. Повернімося до розмови. Ніяке чергування, так погода псується. Накази перевиконувати не треба. Я що кажу? Можлива загроза. Працюємо на ураження. Не опусти! Вогонь на ураження! Усім бути на поготові.
Шановні співробітники, доводжу до вашого відома. Прилади нічного бачення для польових робіт купуються за особисті кошти. Центр не сплачує за них в бюджет.
До цього мене в інституті не готували. Ще й викиди ці.
Ага, не пропадай.
Усім бути напоготові. Працюємо на ураження! Шукаємо укриття!
Дістався до ПТЗ. Не лізь у лоб. Дістанеш ствола, опинишся в оточенні. Треба потрапити всередину та запустити нейропрограматори.
В мене вартівська перепустка. Зайду з парадного.
Якщо так, то поцікався заодно у своїх друзів з варти матеріалами проекту «Нитка». Думаю, вони тебе здивують.
Ви перебуваєте в забороненій зоні. Негайно залиште територію об'єкта.
Спокійно, я свій. В мене перепустка.
Проходь!
Усім бути на поготові.